Hey everyone, welcome back to Land Investing Online, where we teach students how to profitably buy and sell vacant land. This is the simplest, least competitive, and most profitable sector of real estate. For more information, visit landinvestingonline.com. We have tons of successful investors in there. Come learn from the best. I'm Daniel Apke. This is Ron Apke. Welcome back, Ron.
Hi, good to be here, Dan.
Before we start, we got an episode today on why people fail in the land business. So this is something that Ron and I have seen consistently, and we have a great idea of what makes people successful in this business and what makes people, I guess, quote unquote, fail. But before we get into that, let's go over one of our questions. Is it important to find a good bookkeeper at first in the land flipping business? So I guess they just want to know there. It sounds like at first is the key word here. So you're early on, you're land flipping. Hopefully you've probably done some successful deals if you need bookkeeping, I'd hope. So you're doing some deals. Is it important early on to do bookkeeping?
I think it matters where you want to take it in. If you're trying to really take this to the next level, I don't think it hurts to get a bookkeeper early, build that relationship, explain the business to them. But the question from our member is, do you need one? Absolutely not. You can use Excel, stay up to date on it. So at the end of the year, you're not paying someone $1,000 or something to do all your books. But I think if you keep it on Excel, make sure you keep track. If you're doing that many deals, if you're doing a decent amount of deals, make sure you have your own business set up and a business card and all of that, a credit card. So then it's kind of easier to keep track of in a business bank account where you don't have to go through at the end of the year your personal stuff and see what's being taken out for business versus what's being taken out for personal. But no, absolutely not. I don't think one's necessary. We've done it where we've gone the entire year without one and then hired one at the end of the year. Right now, with the volume we are doing, we do have one because it's not a huge financial liability and it helps us keep track of things. But I definitely think it's something that's valuable, but it's not something you need right now.
Yeah, exactly. And keep in mind, this is going to be something you need to do, like Ron said, at the end of the year. So if you're doing a lot of deals and you want to see your finances and get a better dive in there, it's not a bad idea to get it started and set up and see where you kind of stand month to month. But it's not, I don't think this is a key driver of a business, right? It's just something that might help you analyze numbers a little bit. And keep in mind, when Ron said we didn't do bookkeeping for a whole year, we did have our own bookkeeping in a way. We were recording all of the deals. We knew exactly our profit margins. We knew how many deals we've done, what our profits are looking like. So we had our own separate little system, like just an Excel based. But in terms of having a full on bookkeeper in QuickBooks or whatever software you use, we didn't do that for the whole first year. And if it's stressing you out and you don't want to worry, I wouldn't do it either. Just keep track of your finances somehow with whatever fits your style. But let's hop into
Talk to your
go on.
Sorry, Dan. Talk to your accountant also, guys, because your accountant might have some Excel that they can make. Some accountants will only take QuickBooks or like an official bookkeeping software. So talk to your accountant and see maybe like, are you going to need QuickBooks at the end of the year done by a bookkeeper, or do you have an Excel, a template that you can give me that I can fill in as I go with expenses?
Yeah, great point. Talk to your accountant on all this. I would. Ron and I are not accountants, so talk to your CPA. But let's get into today's topic: why people fail in the land business and as entrepreneurs. So before we jump into this, so why people fail in land business? Let's go ahead and describe what failing is in this business, because there's no real definite definition, I guess you can say. There's no definition of what failing in this business is. Like, I just think there's so many ways to analyze fail. Like, you can keep going and eventually make it work at any point. So let's describe what failing is, I guess, Ron.
I think it's someone who kind of gives up on the idea. That's what I view it as. Like I said, there's no like, if someone's consistent with most things in life, they're not really going to fail, to be honest. Not everything in life. Obviously, some things you can do a million times and you're still going to not be good at it, or you're still going to fail at it. But with this business, the people that I've seen quote unquote fail are people who just gave up on the idea. Maybe they weren't. A lot of it is not having trust in the process and trust in the idea that it's going to work. You need to have that. You need to be willing for a couple mailers to fail and for a couple mailers to not work in order to make this work. You got to be comfortable with the idea. Your first phone call could make you $100,000, but you got to have in the back of your head, like, maybe it's going to take a couple mailers for me to adjust things. But that's how I define it, Dan. I don't want to get too deep into it.
Yeah. And I think that you defined that pretty well. I think it's just giving up on the idea. This is a business model that's proven and sustainable. It's not like we're starting some tech company out in Silicon Valley or anything. There's hundreds of people doing this, hundreds of members and students doing this that we see every day. It's very sustainable. So I think if it's something you have your mindset on and you want to do, you can definitely make it work. I mean, all of our members are making it work, who want to and who have stayed consistent with it. So it's really up to you. And I think that's a really big point, because they do say whatever X amount percentage of businesses fail, but a lot of those are like these ideas that aren't proven, and Silicon Valley startups and things like that as well. And then half of it also is, like Ron said, just the consistency there. But let's get into the main reasons. I have three reasons written down on the main ones, what we see in our business of our members kind of failing. And I don't even want to say failing, because I know those people could buy back into the idea at one point and get back into it. But for the purpose of this video, I have three reasons written down. What do you see as the main reasons of people not succeeding, I guess, early on?
So I think we both probably have this one. I think it's a good first one to discuss, is they just stop sending mail. It's really common for people to just stop sending mail. Like I said, like maybe your first mailer doesn't work. And going on that, I have a little short story. So we had someone who was very interested in this, very bought in. They might have sent a mailer or two. They claimed they lost a couple of $1,000s because the mail didn't work. They didn't get any deals in the first month or something. 6 months, and they quit. Like what I would describe as failed. 6-8 months later, they got phone calls, two deals from that first mailer, and they made about $80,000 or $90,000. So they tried to fail, really. They tried to quit. They tried to give up on the idea. Then all of a sudden they get a call. But I think mail, Dan, is the main thing, or one of the first things. Do you have that as well?
Yeah, I do have mail. That's a really cool story. And then my question for you is, did that person end up getting back into the game after they made 90,000?
Yeah, they're sending mail now, and they're all excited. I mean, that pays for mail for the next couple. I mean, it matters how much you're doing, but that could pay for mail for the entire year. And they only sent 2 mailers, which is the crazy thing. And that, I think it was at least 6 months. It was probably 6 to 8 months before they got those phone calls. And it's weird because there's 2 of them, and they got 2 good deals, and we actually partnered with them on one. But I mean, it's crazy. Like, they did try, and then now they're all bought in again.
That's awesome. Yeah, that happens. That's a really cool story. So we both agree on lack of mail. And then I think this kind of falls in with lack of mail. The next one I have on my list is just lack of consistency. And I think those go really hand in hand, but consistency as an overall business isn't just mail, but I think they both kind of correlate in some way. Did you have anything around that, Ron?
Yeah, I think I mean, like you said, that does kind of go in with mail. But no, I think that's really important. Consistency in this business is the name of the game. It matters what their goal is. I think with all these failure things we're talking about, it matters what their goal is. Like, if they're trying to just have a side hustle, like, you can be a little less consistent if you have your 9-to-5 job paying for everything else. But if you're trying to make this a full-time job, like a lot of our members do, a lot of members do it as a side job as well. But you need to be consistent if you're trying to make this a full-time job.
Yeah, and if I had a job I really loved, I just like I always try to put myself in our members' shoes and hear their stories and just really learn about them and try to put myself so we can be the best kind of coach and mentor we can be. But I really like to hear people's story, because if I had a job that I really loved, I always wonder, like, what kind of volume would I do? And I think that's really important, because you can't just send out 20,000 mailers a month. I mean, you better have your operations in place, and it's going to take a couple years to get there. So you're hands off. But that's the thing. It all depends on your goals. Like, I would probably send 4,000 to 8,000 a month if I had another 40-hour-a-week job, maybe a little more. I think it's doable, but it all depends on your goals, like Ron said. So what else, Ron, do you have on that list?
So I got one more. I think we've talked about it maybe in a couple other, but I think fear is a big thing with all entrepreneurs. And this goes way beyond land business. If you're scared and you're not willing to take risks, failure it might happen, it might not happen. But those people who are scared to lose, like I've talked about, to lose a little bit of money to learn, scared to spend money on education, like we've talked about before. It plays a really big part in business, and fear is not always bad if you can get by it. But if fear cripples you and it paralyzes you, it's detrimental to running a business. So I think that's really important in this, in anything, and whether you want to start a land business or you want to go open a jewelry shop. Like if you're scared, everything's going to cost money to start a business. If you're scared of it and you're intimidated by it and you just don't want to take action because that fear, it will cripple you. It's going to make you fail.
Yeah. And I think fear, everyone at some point in their journey is going to have fear. Fear is normal. It's a response. It's just being conscious enough to recognize that fear,
Yep.
know the fear's happening and getting past it. Right. So you just keep driving, keep getting through it. But fear's there for a reason. So you got to, I mean, your first month, don't send 30,000. Like if you have a fear of spending $20,000 on mail, that's right. But if you're going to invest in yourself and spend $4,000 or $5,000 on mail in the month, like that, you just have to recognize the fear and get through it. It's a super, if you don't have fear, there's probably something off with you. If there's no fear when you start this business at all, but it's really normal. Ron and I had it, everyone has it. So it's just really identifying what's going on and getting through it. And part of that, guys, is I honestly think a big part for me was networking to get through that, like hearing other people's story, continuing my education. Cause it's like, the more I'm educated, the better I'm capable of doing land flipping. And the more network I have, I'm talking to people who are successful with it. I just think it all kind of helps move you forward. Cause instead of, like I said, let's go back to the startup. If I have a startup business, I'm raising $2 million from outside investors or whatever it is. The concept's not proven. This business model is proven. I'm talking to people who do it, or I'm listening to people that do it. I'm talking with them, and all of those reasons. I just think it really helps get through those tough times.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't want to say like fear is not natural. It is natural in this, but it's how you react to the fear, how you overcome the fear. And like Daniel said, being conscious of it and believing in the process and your education and going from there. But I think those are, do you have anything else on your list, Dan? I think there's things like in the business aspect that people fail at. They buy the wrong properties, which is really difficult to do, buying the wrong properties. If you use our community and network in that way, like Dan's talking about, if you shoot us a property, like we will be able to tell 9 times out of 10 if it's a good purchase or not. And you're going to be able to make money on the sell side.
And then the other 1 out of 10 times that we won't be able to tell, it's usually something hidden that you can also wean out with due diligence and getting a drone there, whatever the situation is. And we've told you those stories before of how we've got kind of burned on a couple properties because of certain things that we learned early on. But like Ron said, if you're using this network and getting through and showing everyone your properties and getting feedback on them, you should really, really be able to identify what's good to buy and what's not. But you asked me what other, that's the only 3 I had. So I had lack of mail, lack of consistency, and fear of failing. And I want to bring this back to our business. So we know this business model works. We're sending out mail every month, but we still have that fear at times because how are we going to grow our business to where we want to get it to, right? We have to hire people and we have to pay people a good amount of money, and we have to hire salespeople, W-2 salespeople for a lot of money to be calling these people back and doing these works. We have to hire transaction coordinators, data people. So that's always kind of there, but that consistency moving forward and recognizing that, and that's where we want to get and building out all these processes, it really keeps us on track. I think that's the last thing I wanted to mention with that. But now we talked about the reasons we see people fail. Let's talk about the biggest advice, our biggest advice on how to succeed in this business and what we see with people succeed. And I think it just goes back to what you're speaking on, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, it's the consistency part. I think being a part of the community, it's basically the opposite of what we said. Sending mail, being consistent, and not lack of fear by any means, but like we said, being aware of your fear. But the people that we see successful, like I know the first day I talk to them in our Discord or over email or over a consultation, like I know how they're going to do in this business. Again, 9 times out of 10. And you can just tell by their drive, their interest, they're bought in, they're talking about their first mailer, like counties that they want to send to. Maybe it's not the right place to send mail, but they're going to figure it out. And you can feel that they're willing to get over those learning curves to make them succeed. So, I mean, those are the people, like it doesn't take, you don't have to be a genius to do this. Daniel and I aren't geniuses by any means, but you need to be driven. You need to have a want to make some extra money to make your life better. And that's what I see from the successful people. It's nothing in terms of brains or any past background, honestly.
Yeah, so to get specific, the thing I would recommend on how to succeed in this business is, like Ron said, consistency. But how do you get to consistency? Work backwards a little bit. Set your mail goals and stick to them. I think that's one of the biggest things, because once you start weaning off those mail goals, if you set 4,000 every month and you didn't hit it, like that's a sign that you're not being consistent. So really make sure to stick to those numbers. Set your mail goals. Get it out. The next thing I have on here was just continual education. I think this is really big. Things are always changing in this business model. And by being involved in our Discord and being involved in our community, Ron just updated, I think, 3 modules this weekend, right, Ron? 3 modules in our community, or in our course. And we're constantly tweaking and adding things that we need to really be up there. But I think just continued education through this process, because there's so much learning. You can learn so much from other people. And I think that's the other big thing for me.
I think that kind of bringing it back a little bit, like that's my fear, and that fear drives me. Like I'm scared of not having the education up to date for you guys. So Daniel and I are constantly trying things and doing things that cost us a lot of money to make sure that we are ahead for you guys and how this works. And constantly, like, I never want my education to be outdated or anything like that. So that's why I do this. I mean, literally daily, I'm thinking about, like, what do we need to change in this? What do we need to update? And then we're trying new things as well to make sure that it's up to date and there's not a better way to do it, because we want to present the best thing for you guys. And that fear, like, it is a fear, like, of me not having the education up to date. So I'm constantly, and Daniel knows this too, and he's doing the same thing, just making sure that it's the right education for you guys and going from there and constantly updating it.
Exactly. Is there any last remarks you want to add to this episode, Ron?
No, I mean, I think we covered it all. I think just if you're believing in this business, if you're scared to take the next step to take a course or something like that, like, just really reevaluate it. Like, I understand some people need to put themselves in a financial position to be able to go all in, and that's a really good thing to do. I don't urge anyone to get into this when they're not ready financially to do it. But if you have the money aside and you just don't want to spend it, you got to sit down with yourself for an hour and see what you want. Like, talk to yourself and see what you want in the future. Like, can you buy into this business? There's not another business that you can make this type of money as fast as you can make it. And I'm not trying to sell our course or anything. I'm settling the idea of buying and selling land, which you probably haven't heard of before you started listening to us. That's there's so much land out there. Like I said, I'm not trying to make this a sales pitch. I'm just trying to let you, like, this process that we do and the way we teach it, like, there isn't really a chance for failure if you're doing the right things.
Exactly. Well, to wrap it up, if you guys are, I guess I'd say, if you guys are watching our videos, you're listening to our podcast, you're in our Discord, Ron and I launched a new free 15-minute consultation for anyone who's serious in land investing, has questions, and it's really for people serious that are looking to do it. You can go to our site, landinvestingonline.com, click the Start Here page. I think it's step 3. So you've watched the YouTube videos, you've joined the Discord, and now you're ready for your consultation. Well, let's wrap it up. Let's get you in there, and we'll talk to you for 15 minutes, go over anything you guys want if you guys are serious about this business model. That's all I have, guys. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys.